Yesterday, the U.S. Treasury Department announced new sanctions on over 300 entities and individuals, cutting off Russia's ability to sustain military production. What's even more important, Russia's main stock and currency exchange, Mosbirja, and the National Clearing Center that handles all foreign currency payments in Russia, they also found themselves under the American sanctions. And today, Russia's financial markets descended into chaos. More on that and Russia's June economic update with numbers and figures, at least some, in today's live stream. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia. We're living in today's Russia Explained, and the usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. No propaganda, BS, or lies here, only truth, common sense, and logic. And some emotions too, because I am a human being after all. Before I start, please be informed that today's live stream will consist of 3 parts. This message of the economic update. Then we discuss and share opinions in a live stream chat and a prayer at the end. Before I start, I'd like to remind you something. I'd like to, remember 2 things. 2 important things about Russian economy. The first one is that the sugarcoating, those positive lies and blah, blah, blah that Russian propaganda was feeding people in large quantities for about 9 months before the presidential election, now it's off. We start seeing more realistic numbers and hearing more truth from Russian authorities, and it is very unusual and generally awesome. And remember the second thing? I compared Russian economy to the Titanic. I've been doing it for a couple years now. On February 24th, 2022, Russia hit the iceberg. At first, economic effects weren't visible much, but the troubles were there. They were cooking already. They started cooking. Russian economy turned out to be a fairly stable. Instead of crashing fast, it lasted for 2 years. But on the inside, it was being filled with water, so to speak. And the economy at the point where we are right now is going down full speed. Well, what I enjoy the most is that Russian authorities started talking about it more openly. Heck, it's really difficult to conceal problems now when people go to a food store and see prices rise every single day, for example. And boy, that makes me smile. What I forecasted a long time ago is finally happening now. But in general, it's a very sad show. It's a show how big Russia is going down and taking 140 million Russian people along with it. So, now let me give you the news update. The U.S. Treasury Department announced new sanctions, including on Russia's main stock and currency exchange, Mosbirja. That's a marketplace that basically converts different currencies, foreign currencies, into rubles. So Mosbirja is under sanctions, and also the National Clearing Center that handles all foreign currency payments in Russia. Currency exchange. What the heck is that, and why it is so important for Russia? Well, let me explain in a nutshell how currency exchange works. I'll try to be very short. If a company in Russia needs a large amount of foreign currency, but say it needs to buy a large batch of goods in China, the company must pay in dollars because Chinese trade in dollars. And the company would go to currency exchange, Mosbirja, to buy dollars there. It has rubles, now it needs dollars. It buys dollars and sends it to the Chinese. Who would sell dollars? Obviously, the companies that have dollars and need Russian rubles. Say, aluminum exporter who just sold aluminum to the USA and received a large amount in US dollars. But now the company needs Russian rubles so it can pay day-to-day bills inside Russia. So one company needs to buy dollars and to use it abroad, and another one needs to buy rubles because it just had dollars came from abroad. And that's where thousands of currency buyers and sellers came to at any given time, and it was how the foreign market currency exchange worked in Russia. When there was higher demand for dollars, dollar became more sought after. Therefore, the price for dollars rose, the price of dollar rose, and vice versa. Times when rubles were needed by companies, for example, at the time when they needed to pay massive taxes at the end of each quarter, price of Russian ruble rose and the price of dollar fell. That was how the market exchange rate was regulated. Well, that's exactly how, by the market. And yesterday, the US Treasury Department destroyed that system by placing its sanctions onto the currency exchange Mosbirja. And this is what's going to happen in Russia now. Demand for dollars will still exist. Remember, Russia doesn't manufacture much. Instead, it buys everything abroad and pays for it in the US dollars. So to pay, let's say, a Chinese exporter, Chinese manufacturer who's selling something to Russia, Russian company, instead of going to the exchange and buying dollars, now it needs to start looking for dollars, say, go from bank to bank and literally ask banks, do you have this amount of dollars by any chance? Can we buy it? And get this. Now, banks can set up their own exchange rates. Yes, we can sell you a couple $1 million if you want, but you've got to pay this price. You've got to pay premium because the demand is so high. And we command this price. And companies will be paying premium. There's no question about that because dollars will still be needed. The end result will have two major effects on, I would say, on Russia. One, everything in Russia will cost more. And the consumers, regular Russians, will pick up the tab at the end. They always do. Overall, this is another blow to Russian economy. And number two, Russian central bank, the regulator of the exchange market, will lose control over currency exchange in the country. And the entire financial system in the country will be less stable. You simply can't control hundreds of thousands of independent individual currency transactions made individually that you don't know about. Is it a catastrophe? No, it is not. But get this. As multiple sanctions here and there, they add up. First, it was Western companies leaving Russia instead of buying directly and cheaply. Then Russians started buying in other countries and bringing goods to Russia. And that made importing process longer and more expensive. The consumers picked up the bill. Then foreign banks started refusing direct money transfers with Russia, and Russians started creating interlaying companies in other countries such as Armenia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and paying through them, therefore through the chain of payments. And now currency exchange troubles, and that all adds up. And the negative cumulative economy effect over time is huge. And the second, Russian financial markets, they are becoming less stable, more risky, and less transparent. And where less transparency, there's trouble. That's exactly why countries all over the world try to simplify international trade and currency exchange. So it becomes easier, faster, cheaper, and more transparent. And it's good for everyone. And Russia is doing absolutely the opposite. It overcomplicates the trade, making it longer and more expensive. Some say, well, Russia is under sanctions. It's not Russia that's doing that. I say, yes, it is. Exactly Russia. If Russia didn't invade Ukraine in February of 2022, no one would place any sanctions upon it. So it is Russia. It is the decision of Russian leadership, and they're responsible. They're to blame. Well, taking into consideration just this sanctions upon Mosbirja, this currency exchange, no one in the right mind can say that Russia is doing great economically, that Russia has withstood all the sanctions. Yet, there are many voices, including those abroad from reputable sources, who are saying exactly that. Well, American sanction on the currency exchange, although it's an economic bomb, it's not the only news I would like to share with you today. I have some more. Before telling you the most interesting part, very interesting part, I think the most interesting was the news about the sanctions of Mosbirja. So before getting into other news, I would like to thank you, those of you who bought me coffees at buymeacoffee.com. Your support shows me that you value my work so much that you support the channel and buy me coffees. This is an incredible feeling. It makes me grow wings behind my back, It's very inspirational, very moving, and just gives me energy to move forward, to go live every single day. And, why would I do that? Only if I see that people are interested in what I do. So thank you so very much. I very much appreciate it. Now, there are a few news I'd like to talk about, mention this summer. This is what's happening. Again, this is a perfect storm, economic storm above Russia, and it's not going anywhere. It's not passing through. It's just there and it's spinning. And guess what? It's going to be getting more and more intense and bigger as time goes by, but it's already big enough. So let's talk about the inflation. An interesting event happened last week. There was the International Economic Forum, the annual event in St. Petersburg. Used to be a real serious, important, and noticeable event, respected event, back in the days before the war. It's turned out to be a joke. There are rumors, I'm not going to tell you about them. But anyway, no one takes the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum seriously. Even some who in Russia, they don't come. You won't find Ramzan Kadyrov there. You won't find, Nikolai Patrushev and the likes. But still, government was there and government spoke. And one of the members of the government, it's part of the government, it's not a directly government, but a part of the government machine of Russia, the central bank. And it's head Elvira Nabiulina, and she is the one who usually tells us about inflation. So an interesting speech he gave last week at the Economic Forum. Elvira Nabiulina was assuring Russian people that the central bank increased the key interest rate last year. And I remind you, the central bank doubled the key interest rate from 7 to 16% in the last 12 months. So Elvira Nabiulina was assuring people that this measure was A, temporary, and soon the central bank would be lowering the key rate, and B, that the measure was successful, that the inflation in Russia was put back under the control. And in January, in February, she was very optimistic in her press conferences, saying she was seeing disinflating processes in Russia, whatever this word means, disinflaционные процессы. Disinflating processes, okay? Well, then came the presidential election, and a bit later, now at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, Nabiullina openly admitted that inflation is growing, and she does not see the end of that. Basically, she openly admitted that all she was saying before for 12 months was bullcrap. Moreover, she threatened a significant further raise of the key interest rate in July, meaning all the work they did in 1 year was in vain, and this hike hasn't been working. Wow, just wow. It's like saying one thing and trying to convince everyone that it is true, and then going and saying completely the opposite, like it's not a big deal, like you never said anything opposite before, you know. That's pretty ballsy. Moreover, Vladimir Putin also gave quite a few interesting speeches. He made a few appearances, and he made few speeches, public speeches during the forum, and 5 times, people counted, 5 times he mentioned that inflation is galloping in the USA. Inflation is galloping in the US. It's really bad. It's influencing the country in a bad way, and it's bad for American people. Russian President Vladimir Putin caring for American people, right? 5 times. And do you know how many times he mentioned about Russian inflation? Zilch, 0. And before, you know, in 2023, it was one of his favorite topics to talk about on public. Inflation in Russia was under control, and he made it look like it was his great achievement, you know. He bragged about it. Oh, look at the inflation. We withstood all the sanctions. Look at our low unemployment rate. I made so many streams about that when I showed Putin saying that. And now he acts as if this problem doesn't even exist in Russia. Well, it's something. Another news, Russian Ministry of Finance downgraded economic outlook for 2024. What? Everything was great just a couple months ago. Not so great. It just corrected the plans for federal budget deficit. Before, it was planned to be 1.6 trillion ruble budget deficit. Now, it's 2.1 trillion ruble deficit. They increased the deficit by 500 billion rubles. Why? Well, because that's more to real life than before, basically. The biggest reason, they downgraded the plan for oil price. OPEC Plus, this organization of oil extractors and exporters, had another meeting, and now everyone understands that there will be no increase in oil prices, just a decrease. China is not doing well, you know, and the general decrease in the sales is predicted. So now the Russians also understand that there will be no increase of sales of natural gas in China. That's what they were hoping before. You think this is bad? Wait until August. Usually in August, they start putting the draft of the federal budget for the following year. And it'll be much worse than 2024. Remember, the Titanic has submerged already. Then more bad news about the economy. Росстат, Russian statistics agency, just released April report for the performance of Russian industry sector, you know, the manufacturing industry. The two indicators that I usually pay extra attention to are truck freight turnover and railroad freight turnover. In April, truck freight showed negative growth decline of 2.2%, and railroad freight showed the decline of 4.5%. So why I find this indicators important? Because they show that how many products are moved throughout Russia, okay? It shows that there are significantly less products, goods, materials, everything transported in April in the country. This indicator is kind of indicator for overall health of the economy. No good news on the horizon, okay? And more bad news. Gasoline prices started increasing. That, of course, is the result of multiple drone attacks on oil refineries all over Russia. Now, most of you probably don't remember, but I made a live stream about explaining how Russian gas market works. It's not really market price that Russians pay for gasoline at the gas stations. Now, let me remind you how it works, okay? The prices for gasoline, different kind of gasoline, and diesel are regulated by the government in a very odd way. This system of Russian regulation of gas prices is called the Dempfer in Russian, okay? Basically, Russian government covers part of gas prices with taxpayers' money. So oil companies keep prices for consumers at the pumps not growing. Now, if you went to a gas station in Russia in June of 2023, let's say in May 2023, and pumped gas, you would end up paying, let's say, like 60 rubles, for example. But the real price is, let's say, 90 rubles. But 30% is paid by the government with taxpayers' money. It's simply that the government wants to keep people calm, and people get excited in a bad way when the gas prices go up. It's always gasoline, it's always heating, and it's always bread. These three products that are very dangerous. They're called the social products in Russia. So Russian government is paying to the oil companies so they keep prices fairly low. Now, if you go and pump gas in May of 2023, despite all drone attacks, despite all the troubles in the oil market, you would still pay, let's say, 60, perhaps 63, 62 rubles. Not great of a rise. That's because Russian government paid the difference. Now, these numbers we have that are actually open and accessible, okay? Last May of 2023, Russian government paid oil companies 103 billion rubles as a compensation to keep oil prices from rising. In May of 2024, it doubled the compensation. In May of 2024, it paid 201 billion rubles, a 94% increase. And that shows us what the real market price of Russian gasoline is. Imagine what it is. And you know what? Even with this huge compensation that the government gives to oil companies, they can't hold the prices from growing now. The prices started steadily growing last month. And Russian government, even though it spends 200 billion rubles it's $2 billion every single month, it cannot compensate now because the price hike is so big. Another news is crazy, and it deserves to be in the Crazy Friday Crazy News Update that I do every Friday. So tomorrow I'll explain this in more details, but basically Vladimir Putin openly stated at the St. Petersburg Economic Forum that Russia now is the economy number 4 in the world by purchasing power parity. This year, Russian economy has outgrown the Japanese economy. I think facepalm doesn't even justify the double facepalm. So please tune in tomorrow to learn more. I'll actually show and explain in detail what he meant, but this is not even funny. This is crazy. Now, another bad news came from St. Petersburg. Well, it's really bad news in the economy, and it's expected also. Basically, there's not one single news that has not been expected. But now they're there. We can see these processes, they're materializing in front of our eyes. The investments. One of the main themes at St. Petersburg Forum, International Economic Forum, was that Russia is severely lacking at investments, and there's no money to invest into new technologies. No shit, geniuses. They started nationalizing companies. That's how stealing companies from rightful owners is called these days. They do it left and right. All Western companies who could have left the country. Some Western companies, their properties, assets were stolen. And I definitely am going to make another live stream on that, because that's just ridiculous. And these wonderful officials, authorities, come out and say, well, it's too bad that no one invests into Russia. And I'm thinking to myself, are you absolutely insane? Or perhaps they're not insane, but us, those who are listening to them and buying their bullcrap, it's us who are insane. Okay, I'm not buying it, but obviously most Russians are. So investments, no more, zilch. But we kind of saw it coming. And more bad news. Denis Manturov, the first deputy prime minister, for the first time publicly admitted the shortage of 160,000 people workers in the military-industrial complex. Now, let me, let me, how do I say it so it sinks in? 160,000 people right now. They were telling us that everything is fine. Remember me, in every other stream I'd say, hey, so many Russians have left Russia. If you go for breakfast with us in our group, Tashkent Breakfast Club, you will see 1,000 people. Not every breakfast, of course, but in our group now, 1,000 plus people. Professionals, experienced professionals with high education, with years of experience, experts, intellectuals. And it's just Tashkent, and it's just our group. Groups like that are dime a dozen all over the world, And despite that, the authorities were telling us, oh, everything's fine. And Vladimir Putin himself said, you know what? Most of those people who left in September of 2022, they came back already. I would show a finger, but, I'm just trying to be nice. No. Have not returned. And Denis Manturov just admitted 160,000 people are missing. And more, he forecasted that the shortage will increase to 240,000 people next year. Now, not too long ago, I made a live stream about the new Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation, Belousov, how he was trying to cut costs of products that the military-industrial complex produces now. And the military-industrial complex is basically one company, Rostech, and it's owned and operated by Vladimir Putin's old friend who served with Putin together in Germany, another KGB agent, his last name is Chemizov. And Chemizov basically was very open about the role of his company. He's holding hundreds of companies called Rostech, the role that it plays in the military-industrial complex. Basically, he said that Rostech supplies 80% of everything to the army. Okay, let's do the math. Rostech employs about 600,000 people. Out of those 600, 400,000 people are directly employed in perhaps from 400 to 500,000 people directly employed in the processes. They produce things for war. Now, 160,000 people are missing, shortage. That's, what is it, 1/6? Something like that. And, no, I did my math wrong, sorry. What is this? If it's 450,000, that's probably a third, right? And if it's next year, 240,000 people, that's going to be half. This is insane. But again, it's predicted, it was predicted, and it's nothing that caught at least me off guard, okay? This is what Denis Manturov said, but I call for each one of you to look further, and let's do just that. Now, what is the military-industrial complex now in Russia? It is the employer that is number one, the best. Why? Two simple reasons. Because it gives you immunity from being mobilized and sent to the war, and it pays you insanely high salaries. This is a real case scenario. A person who works with a metal worker, with some experience is paid 400,000 rubles right now, which is over $4,000 per month. And an accountant at the same company is paid 50,000 rubles, which is a little over $500. Okay, you see the difference? So the military industrial complex these days is like a vacuum cleaner. It vacuums people from everywhere because regular companies just cannot compete. They cannot pay as much. Imagine how many people are missing from the labor force in for the civic companies if the military industrial complex is short 160,000 people. I think this is a catastrophe happening that they're really not telling us about, but this is right there in front of our eyes. Oh boy, I don't know how people do business these days in Russia, More bad news. They came from Russian, the head of, how do I say that? The Russia's biggest bank, okay, that controlled by the government, Sberbank. He is, I can't say the owner, okay, because everything belongs to who, but the guy who is in charge, okay. His name is German Gref. He's the head of Sberbank, and he's one of Putin's friends and former colleagues. They used to work together in St. Petersburg, mayor's office in early 90s, okay. German Gref admitted that the economy has been overheated. Too much money is pumped into the economy and too few products are produced. Again, this is not news. This is very bad news, okay? But this is not like news. It has been forecasted. I talked about it 2 years ago because what happens is there's so much money that are paid to the military-industrial complex right now and to those who are fighting in Ukraine. Money is plenty, but products There are no products right now, consumer products that are manufactured in Russia. Everything is bought from abroad, and it just drives the prices up. The products that the military-industrial complex, real products, are death, the rockets, ammo, bullets, tanks that they just get blown up, and that's it. They don't add any value into Russian economy. So therefore, it overheats Russian economy. Again, the reason I'm mentioning it because German Gref brought it up on the highest level, and it means that it's pretty darn bad. Another bad news for the economy is the tax increase. Well, I did a live stream about it not too long ago, a couple days ago. Check it out. I'm going to put a link right here. Right here. Over here. So, raising taxes is never good for economy, okay? It slows business down. Business is stripped of more money. Therefore, business, the companies, they must cut investments. And they don't grow as fast as they could grow with lower taxes. This is like, economy 101. That's basic stuff they teach you in college in the first year. The only good tax hike can be if those money that the government raises in extra taxes are used for the specific purpose of improving the economy. For example, into the new technologies. But that's a rarity, okay? Usually it works like this. You raise the taxes and business dies off. You lower the taxes and business flourishes, okay? So in Russia, they significantly increased taxes, personal income tax, corporate income tax. Now they're increasing property taxes. That's basically very bad news for the economy. The reason, they simply running out of money. They are looking for every single opportunity to fill their pockets, government's pockets. And that money that they raise from taxes, they will go to the military-industrial complex. The next bad news is Russian ruble gained some value. Well, I'm not sure if it's a good news or bad news. It's just news, okay? I forecasted Russian ruble would lose value. But this one little thing happened. An interesting, I'd say, phenomena, okay? Russian companies don't produce anything, no consumer goods. They buy everything from China and from Turkey. There are two importing hubs, okay? China produces everything and sells to Russia, and Turkey used to be like a commerce hub. Payments through Turkey went to other countries, and products, goods, services came through Turkey into Russia. So both countries, both Turkey and China, has cut off transacting with Russian banks. Turkey did that in January, and China did it in February. And Russia has been trying, Vladimir Putin personally has been trying to fix that. He went to China to beg the Chinese president to reverse the decision, but he hasn't been successful. Chinese banks are afraid of American sanctions, plain and simple. To them, the trade with Russia is very little compared to the trade with America. So they don't want to lose American trade, therefore they ditch in Russia. And it makes very much sense. And that's why the demand for American dollars was low, and that's why Russian ruble was not devaluing. And I thought it would devalue right after the elections, but it's been 2 months, and until before yesterday was trading at 89, 90 rubles, something like that. So it stayed at the same level. Of course, right now, financial market is in turmoil. Russian government will be looking, companies will be looking for new ways how to convert dollars to rubles and back and forth. And it's driving dollar up and ruble down. I saw Russian ruble 110 Russian rubles were being given for $1 American, and just 2 days ago was 89. Not everywhere. Russian central bank stepped in, said, "Oh, we're going to regulate. It's not going to be market exchange rate, but it's going to be our exchange rate." And they set it up around 88 rubles for dollar. But hey, now it's wild, wild west out there. Now every single bank can create its own exchange rate. And the exchange rates I saw today were just incredibly high, 100 up to 110 rubles for dollar, and that's that's some bad news. I think that's enough for now. You know, I would like to finish this live stream with this, and it's very important. I think it was Bloomberg the other day who improved the outlook for Russian economy. I've seen it so many times already that the Western institutions, Western media, Western rating agencies come out publicly and say, well, you know what? Russian economy is not doing too bad. I've seen it, I think, a dozen times already. And the latest was Bloomberg a few days ago. They raised expectations for Russian economy. They said that would be performing better than they initially thought at the beginning of the year. My friends, you know, there's a discrepancy here. Russian officials now, since the sugar coating is off and they don't have to lie that much anymore, you know, now they are coming out and saying, you know what, we're really in trouble. We don't have enough money, so we have to raise taxes. We are expecting that we're not going to get as much money selling oil as we initially used to think. Now we're having 160,000 people shortage in our labor force just for the military, and the shortage in the civic industries is probably much greater than that. They are officially coming out and saying that. Elvira Nabiulina is coming out and giving a very grim outlook for Russian economic future, and that's the head of Russian central bank. So now they're saying that, and Western outlets, you know, media, Western governments, Western experts come out and say, well, Russian economy will grow. Please let me know in the comments if you understand what the hell is going on, because I don't. All the signs that I'm seeing right now, and trust me, I'm studying Russian economy under the microscope. All the signs I'm seeing are negative, with, you know, increased negative intensity. I have not seen one positive sign that can positively influence the economy. So please explain me what the hell is going on. Why even Russian officials have started coming out and telling somewhat true, and why the Western people, experts, economists, institutions like the World Bank, you know, the International Monetary Fund, why they're saying the nonsense. This has been my news update, economic news update. Thank you so very much. I would like to invite you to carry on to the live stream chat and discuss. Please share your opinions. Let's talk about it. Thank you. The live stream chat is on. Great to see everyone. This is my most favorite moment of all live stream chats. This is when I turn on the comments and I see that it explodes with people, with real people. It's not just me in front of a camera, it's the community, it's the people. And if you're here for the first time, please know that Inside Russia community has the best moderation team in the world, as great friends and the best moderators, hand down. Lorna, Mammy K, Bob S, Harry Portman, Amir Fazad, and Dirk. Thank you, friends, for coming. Thank you for watching my back. I've been saying that for 2.5 years now. Thank you again. I will never get tired of saying that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, if you want me to notice your question or message easier, please put it in all caps and put inside Russia after @ So I see it highlighted in orange, kind of like jumps into my eyes. Thank you, the usual suspects. Fantastic to see everyone. So please highlight in orange, just like Leitmotiv for me did. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We have people from all over the world, and that's amazing. I love it, absolutely. Bob, howdy. Lorna, Mami K, Dirk. Cornelius, hey, thank you. Expenditures are up, debt grows. No, it does not. It does not. I beg to differ. Debt is not growing in Russia because you know what? Russia has been isolated. It's been unplugged from the international financial system, and Russia cannot borrow anywhere. There are two places you can borrow. You can go to the international institutions, say banks, European, American banks, and borrow there, and they will lend you money. Or you can actually go to people of your country and borrow from them. Well, Russians do not have money to lend to Russian government. And Russian government, instead of borrowing, it just takes its greasy hand and puts it into their pockets, raises taxes so they don't have to borrow. They take their money by force. And then they can't borrow from European banks, from anyone, because they are kind of... I tell you what, Russia has been trying to arrange a loan of, if I'm not mistaken, around $100 billion from China since 2017. And the Chinese, pardon my French, but I'll be very straightforward with you, with everyone, they're showing their finger to Russians. Okay, that's how much they're borrowing. So, but expenditures are up. You are absolutely right about that. Yes. Andrew Hodson, thank you, from South Africa. Keith, all the way from Hawaii. Tammy Stowell, again, I'm reading what I can read best and fast, all in caps and highlighted in orange. Kami Sante, good to see you. Howdy. Haley, the economy growing maybe because they're producing weapons. No, not growing anymore. It used to. Yes, that sector of economy that was producing weapons was growing like crazy, but it's plateaued. It's been at plateau for over 6 months now. It's not growing, okay? Alex from Denmark, howdy. Jeffrey S., Mr. Humor, but never trust Jeffrey's dating advice. Deborah, good to see you. Thank you for coming. Theodore. Guy, good to see you. Long time no see. What the fudge? That's right. Palvia Flex, China, we want to get rid of the dollar, start using BRICS or Ruble to yuan. No, China doesn't want to get rid of the dollar. China is tied to a dollar. Okay, China trades with the USA in dollar, and that's where China gets its riches from. So I disagree with you. No, and no. BRICS will not have its own currency, at least not for foreseeable future, not for 100 years, 50 years, whatever. No, in big capital letters, N-O. Sam, the Legend K, howdy, towards English breakfast propaganda juice. I love that. I'm gonna write it down, the propaganda juice. I'm giving everyone the English breakfast propaganda juice. There you go. To the legend. You are the legend. Thank you so much. I'm gonna heart that and like. And Santi Prieto, howdy, howdy. Buy a nice English tea. Cheers to you, thank you. Patrick Mayer from Switzerland, howdy. Palm Tree Kate, what a great stream, thank you so much. So when we will see 200 rubles to the dollar? I was forecasting 120 by July or by end of summer. Well, we just saw 110 today. It was temporarily, okay? It went down, but hey, we saw it. And I have proof. I have something to show it, you know. So 120, 200. It depends. If things are not going well at all, worse than even when I think, then the 200 could be by the end of the year. Please welcome Collective West. It's good to see you. Is it true that you're evil? Francisco Villanova, thank you so very much. Will there be a coup d'etat in Russia? Well, it's a very complicated question, and please keep on tuning in. I will talk more about it. Please keep on tuning in the future. There will be streams about it. So far, I've made a few streams. I predicted that would be some kind of uprising. May, if I'm not mistaken, it was mid-May 2023 last year. And just 1 month later, there was a mutiny, Yevgeny Prigozhin and his private army. You remember what happened. And after that, I predicted again that there will be another mutiny. When and how, I don't know. But temptation is just too big to pass it, you know, for some people. Carson Larimore, thank you so much. Why are the Russian banks' websites down? Why are there lines at the banks with people trying to withdraw? Are they going back to the 90s and hiding dollars under the mattress? Definitely, definitely. Okay, great question. I'm going to talk a little more about it. I'm going to show you the pictures of people, lines of people. They're not going to the banks. You cannot withdraw your dollars. There was a law, the central bank order to all banks on March 8th of 2022, when people started withdrawing dollars like crazy. This Russian financial system started shaking. And the central bank made the decision, like the regulator it made a decision to forbid Russians to withdraw their dollars. Now, if you want to get your dollars, like I have a little bit of dollars in my bank account. So I had to transfer them into rubles, sell dollars virtually, and get rubles, and I could withdraw rubles, okay? And of course, it was very economically unviable to do, but that's what they made everyone do. And this law this order, executive order from the central bank, is still in effect. So you cannot withdraw dollars. So people were not standing in lines today to withdraw dollars, but they had Russian rubles, and they were going to the banks to sell their rubles and buy dollars. So yes, to have cash in American dollars and hide them under the mattresses. In Russia, we say under the pillow. Why the Russian banks' websites were down? Well, my bank, I checked Russian bank. I don't have any money there, but I still have bank account there. It's Raiffeisen Bank. It was up, worked fine. Some websites were down because, I take it, banks just didn't want to deal with people. And in days of chaos like that, you just shut down your office. You say, bank is closed until further notice. Same for the website. That's what they were doing. So, hope I answered your question. Jekyll, thank you so much, all the way from Australia. No message as usual, but your message is heard, and it's big and much, much appreciated. Thank you. Crusader Damien, the father of great questions and good food for thought. Thank you for coming. And what do we have from you today? Should we, the West, worry more about economic collapse or battlefield defeat? Which is more dangerous for Russia, nuclear escalation, elite revolt? I think you, the West, should not worry about anything. Okay, you should worry about helping out Ukraine. That's all. I've thought more in the last couple of days about the nuclear escalation and World War III. This is what a lot of people are talking about these days. World War III is coming. World War III is coming. I think that it's not coming. I'm going to make an entire stream dedicated to that. And I think that you shouldn't be worried much about anything. Okay. Again, all we have to worry is how to end this conflict as soon as we can. Russia will economically collapse. You can worry, you cannot worry, no matter. It will economically collapse because the foundation has been destroyed. No matter what you do, it will collapse. It will be done. Manus, long time no see. Hey, sponsor for 24 months. Do I get a toy for 24 months? Well, 25 months, okay? Let's make it that. Of course you do. Carolyn Garman, thank you so much. Deep Inside Russia, that's a higher tier sponsor. I appreciate very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Peter, Czech Republic, thank you so much. My mom and dad lived in Prague for 10 years. My dad was the caretaker at a church there and a preacher at Sheberov, Apatov. I traveled to Prague many times. I have very fond memories of the place. So thank you. Fantastic to see people from Czech Republic. Are we close to seeing the swans? Well, Crusader Damien, I want to be a smart, and I want to say every day we get closer to that. Every single day, literally. Daniel, how do you think that Russia will be able to rebuild without repeating the 90s chaos? Friend, Russia will not be able to rebuild. It will not be just repeating 90s chaos. The chaos will be worse, I think, and it'll last much longer. Really, in the 90s, the chaos was in 91, at the end of 91, where Soviet Union fell apart, and we found ourselves in a new country with no laws, everything was new to us, so it's late 91. 92 was very tough. People were struggling, people were trying to reinvent the wheel. 93 was tough, but better. 94, 95 were getting better. 96, it was no chaos, okay? So Russia is facing something very different, much, much darker times. In the 90s, Russia was being helped by everyone. It was being greeted and welcomed as a part of international community, okay? Russia had all the international trade. Russia had help of international institutions. What's going to happen to Russia now? I've talked about it so much. It's going to be very different. Russia is going to be isolated, made pariah, and once the war is over, nothing will get back, okay? I doubt they will even be buying Russian gas and oil. Probably will be, but not at the quantities that they used to, okay? That's not going to be enough. Russia does not have any access to technologies. Russia has lost the best people, the cream of the crop, the most intellectuals, okay? Russia is facing much darker times than the 90s. Whew. Santi Prieto, when the economy collapses, what can the ordinary Russians do? Try to survive. Again, it's going to be worse than 90s. I survived through the 90s. I was senior high. I used to buy cigarettes in one place and go and sell at another place. And the mafia jumped on us, and me and my friends, and demanded that we pay some more of incomes. You know, that type of thing that we went through. Okay, kids, well, teenagers. And that's going to be like that. And I believe it's going to be even worse. People will be trying to survive any way they can. Lorna, thank you so much. I am checking the fan funding again. Again, Crusader Damien, Carolyn Garman, Manus McLean, Jess Terry, howdy friend, missed your live stream chat, super chat. You have a spark in your step today. Well, I'm rested, you know, my ears don't hurt anymore. I'm feeling so much better. You know, trust me, I did a stream and my ears were hurting and it was pretty darn bad. Now I'm pain free, that's good. So thank you, Terry. And this is economic topic. I'm an expert in Russian economy, and I like economic. That's what I went to school for in two countries. So I usually am all fired up when I do economic streams. Florian, I follow your show for more than a year now. Please keep up. Thank you so much. I will do that. You can count on me. What is the inflation for vodka currently in Russia? Not big, because vodka is considered one of the socially important products, along with bread, buckwheat, gasoline, things like that. And Russian government does not let you raise prices too much for vodka, because it needs Russian people to be able to afford vodka. So they drink, you know. Once they drink, they depart to a different world, the world of drunkenness, okay? And that's, the world is, it kind of like helps them to cope with the reality. So vodka inflation is not that big. Carson Larimore, Crusader Damien, Francisco, Santi Prieto, Sam K. Again, friends, thank you so much. And we have Ron Klotzer from all the way from Mojave Desert. I wish I was there. I really like that place, you know. The TikTok is still coming. Roy Cousins. Roy, thank you so much. You know what? The first time I mentioned the TikTok was in September of 2022. I don't remember whether it was still in Russia or after I left. That was the first time. I still think that TikTok is TikTok. I said TikTok, you know, that crocodile is still coming. But for how long we need to wait? You know, for how long more we need to wait? I can't wait for that guy to show up. Where the hell are you? Where is TikTok? Come closer. Come forward. Come faster. Mauricio, howdy. Do you think that exporting food is going to help? Exporting what? One of the things I didn't mention, because it's not really an economic news, but it's more of agricultural news. But Russian agriculture this year is not in a good shape. It looks like at least 1/3 of crops of the harvest will be lost. So, which food exactly Russia will be exporting much? It imports fruits and vegetables. It historically it exports wheat, but again, wheat 1/3 of the wheat will be gone. So there's not much to export. If you know more than I do, please let me know. S-500 moved to Crimea. Seems Russia has an inventory of one. We have a pool going for its survival days. It did not bring 20 T-14 Su-50s. All right. It's not a question. Well, I think that days. I think days. Yeah, we'll see. Looks like Crimea is being bombarded extra hard right now. And I think it's part of the bigger plan. So I think the survival rate is perhaps weeks. Mr. Wastelander from Sweden, thank you so much. When Russians watch people like Dugin Solovyov on TV, how many do actually believe the nonsense? Oh, I wish you wouldn't ask me this. Feels like a comedy show with 10 drunks in a room talking about the benefits of nuclear war. I wish you didn't ask me that, because that's a very painful question. A lot. You'd be surprised how many believe them. 8 out of 10. That's how many believe them. No, it's my estimation, but and I don't know why. That's one of the biggest mysteries. Why? What's going on? Why do people actually believe these people? You know, this Solovyov. You look at Solovyov and you just do facepalm, you know, and many do believe him. Dugin. We have a professor of one of big Moscow universities here in Tashkent. He's a friend of mine. Michael, my son, went to his son's birthday party today. The guy is absolutely fantastic. He's an intellectual, one of the biggest intellectuals I've ever met in my life. He's intellectually pleasing just being around him, okay? He's that good. He used to be a history professor at the university. Well, I don't want to tell you which university, but in the 90s, he attended a political club. And Dugin was also the member of the club. And he remembers Dugin from the old days. Dugin was with them. And he showed me some statements that Dugin made, because they published a small magazine. Everyone has forgotten about it, but hey, they haven't forgotten at Tashkent Breakfast Club, okay? So Dugin published articles, and guess what? Whatever Dugin is saying right now, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, he was saying exactly the opposite. He was in the opposition to the government. He was predicting that dictatorship should not, that's a risk that dictatorship would appear in Russia. It can't happen because Russia would go backwards in time and so forth. He actually made sense. And now he's saying completely the opposite. I have the article because this former professor brought me this article from a magazine. Incredible. Don't ask me why they believe these guys. I don't know. One of the big mysteries. Carlos, thank you so much from Europe, somewhere, and thank you. I much appreciate it. Every single dollar in your accounts. C. Collins, Can you explain more about what denunciation is? I know it means to speak against, but I don't understand how it translates to what people are actually doing. That's not to speak against. Okay. You have a neighbor, and you don't like that neighbor for some reason. And the neighbor, well, perhaps the neighbor is nosy, or he's loud, he's noisy, or he's whatever, he's just not he's, sweaty, okay, or he stinks, doesn't wash himself. So you write a letter to the KGB and say, you know what? My neighbor is a bad guy. He supports Ukraine. I saw him listening to Ukrainian songs and wearing a t-shirt with the Ukrainian flag. And the KGB comes and arrests the neighbor and puts him to prison for 7 years. And the letter that you write is called denunciation letter. That's what it means. That's not to speak against. That's denunciation, is to rat someone out in a very bad way. That's what denunciation means. Jukes, thank you so much. Much appreciated. Now you know what denunciation is. It's one of the things that I'm very ashamed of, because 3.5 million Russians were executed, shot to death, based on the denunciations during the Stalin years, and now the denunciations are back, and it's horrible. Let me heart all the super chats, and I will ask everyone to join me in prayer. Just let me take a couple more questions, not from the super chats. Bob, thanks for reminding me the time. Fake night Bond. I have that neighbor. Nige, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Crusader Damien, 8 out of 10 Russians believe propaganda. 3 in 10 Americans believe propaganda. Some Westerners also bought Ladas. We have an epidemic outbreak of stupid worldwide. Well, you know what? The Ladas that were available were being sold to the Westerners were much better than the Ladas that were sold in Russia. So, Now, Mammy K, what did you do? You somehow tagged Crusader Damien, and it's awesome tag. YouTube has introduced this new little things, bonuses, perks. Blackhead, good to see you. The question of the day is, how's Mama? Thank you so much for asking. She is fine. Preparing to celebrate my dad's birthday. We decided that every year on his birthday we would get together, without him, but still we would celebrate. So she's getting all the family together, and then we're going to be remembering him. Thanks for coming back, friend. Thank you. Sarah, how's the ruble doing against yuan, Indian currency? Indian currency is none. Forget about it. This ruble in Indian currency. Indian currency is only for domestic internal. It's not international. It's not available to anyone. So ruble does not exist, and I think no currency exists against rupees. Okay, but against yuan, there were lots of information this morning. I simply didn't pay attention. Okay, I was only paying attention to dollar and euro. Okay, I don't know. Sorry. Pierre Haglind, howdy, good to see you. Well, yes, I know. C. Collins, in the USA, we call the police, but anything like that requires absolute proof. We're presumed innocent. Yes, I know. I lived in the USA for 9 years. Trust me, and I absolutely love that how your system works. And in Russia, freaking denunciations are back, and people do get arrested. They do get real prison terms for being denounced, okay? You ride in the metro, you read a Ukrainian book, next thing you know, 2 days later, they show up, arrest you for that, because someone was riding in the metro right next to you. He saw you reading or looking at the Ukrainian flag, and then when he got out of the metro, he went to the police and wrote denunciation letter saying, hey, I saw that guy and doing this. That's it, 7 years in prison, just like that. What a nice country Russia has become. Friends, thank you so very much for coming. Black Cat, thank you so very much. I will do. Look, please email me. I will send you the picture of the flowers that I bought, courtesy of you. So please do that. Thank you so very much. Double heart. What about reading Gogol? Koshkin Dom. You know what? The funny thing is they consider Gogol a great Russian writer, although he was Ukrainian. But hey, he's considered Russian. So at least now. Leslie, thank you so much. Collective West is right. Russia is returning to Soviet times and never any shortage of informers. And that's one of the reasons I don't want to ever go and live there, ever. How can I live among the informers? Thank you. Thank you, friends. I would like to finish this live stream and invite everyone to pray with me. If you're religious, if you're not, you please pray with me, with us. You can call it differently, any way you like. Not prayer, but sending good wishes, good vibes to people, anything. In my eyes, it's the same. So please do it. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for putting food on our tables and giving roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful and safe. Give us wisdom to raise our children so when they grow up and become adults, they will never fight in any wars and it will be just loving each other. For now, please keep our children healthy and safe because they are our world and our life. Dear Lord, please help Ukraine stop the bloodshed, reach out and touch the hearts and souls of those who are responsible so they remember that they're still human beings with love in their hearts and they make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Also, please help my country, Russia, assemble the army of the strongest angels with sharpest swords led by Saint Michael and send it to the earth like heavenly avalanche to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country and who we know by their faces and by their names. Please have them defeated. Dear Lord, have your angels come down and help good Russians to run the country, make it peace, loving, and respecting. Please help everyone who is traveling, send them safe travels. Help everyone who is in trouble of any kind in high waters, please help. Help single mothers who are struggling raising their children and trying to make ends meet. Please bless those who are helping Ukrainians in Ukraine, and help those Ukrainians who are currently under attack or threats of attack from Russians. Send them safety. Dear Lord, please help those who are hungry, sick, addicted, homeless, jobless, depressed, betrayed, losing their faith, losing hope, who are not feeling well about themselves, not feeling well about their lives. Fill their hearts with love and surround them with your warmth. Please show them that you have not abandoned them. You're still with them. You watch every single step they take, and you help them, and you love them. Have them feel you in their lives. Please help everyone in need. Dear Lord, I would like to ask for some people who need help. They are Ann Larson and her daughter Hannah, Jeffrey S. and his family, Alex from Albuquerque, Mark Rutan, Paula W., Koshkin Dom, Gabing with Gary, Dennis, Ron Klotzer, John McLean, Linda Trombley, Terry Carter and his family, Tom W., Lisa Kumrian, Mary Doran, Jay Spike, Frank from Texas, Tim Mayers, Larry B., Colleen's Dad, Dominic, Tracy, James Marston, Susie Mailer, Kyle E.'s wife, Dory, Kurt, Electron's family, Deborah Bogey Berger with family, Wayne, Dave Don, Buzz Simon, Julia Haney, Darla, Linda Trombley, Liz Dumbrell, Pamela J., Meta Spencer, John Lee McMahon, David Porter, his family, and everyone from Chernovtsi, the Highwayman, Stefan Leif, Pamela J., Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Grace, Randolph, Mr. Dean Spooner and his church, and little girl Sarah and her family. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Friends, thank you for coming. Thank you for a great time, great stream. Thank you for giving me a chance to deliver my message. Thanks for coming. I want to remind you that you're absolutely awesome and you rock. Don't forget that. And tomorrow, please come back for Friday crazy news update from Russia. I want to share a secret with you. You know, I caught myself thinking today, Russia does not need comedians anymore, because all you have to do is just look, hear and watch Russian news. And they are so satirical. You know, there's no more satire, made up satire needed. There's a real satire coming from the society and the government. So there's going to be plenty of that tomorrow. Thank you so very much. Before I sign off, as usual, I'd like to ask you to say along with me as loud as you can the following. Carthago delenda est.